Pretty sure he's still continuing his
What's
blue
up?
lock
It's
with him,
Banragto,
and
and
I know
I'm
I'm
back
finishing mine.
with my fans, the Rato
Um,
gang.
if he wants to introduce
So
himself, he can.
I am Banragto, yeah, and then we're gonna be doing the blue out with us.
Yeah. But by the way, again, as I said in the first time we recorded this, but I did have my mic on. Being stupid.
He's a donut.
Shut up.
That's what he'll call me.
But yeah, you can't go by Banragto in all of your videos. So what the
Yeah,
f- is your name?
my name is gonna be Kisei.
Kisei. I like it. Let's see. Oh, by the way,
Kisei
he's the son
no
of
Kisei.
Noah, and I'm the son of Ego. The rival, their rivalry went so deep that they had children to beat each other because Noah was he isn't planning on retiring, not just yet, but he wants to leave something behind in the world.
And I'm gonna
And
be way
Ego
better than
had a
him.
kid. You wish. Bro,
I'm
I'm finna
finna
destroy you.
cook his man.
I'm really finna do him. Don't worry.
I'm finna stump this man.
But yeah, and Ego wanted a kid because he wanted to lead Japan. Lead Japan to a World Cup. He thought since these mediocre children couldn't do it, he'd bring his own kid into the world with the potential to be the greatest egoist.
Oh yeah, and he better not be getting no favoritism.
Who, Ego?
You, your character, he better be getting no favoritism.
What I'm gonna get favoritism for?
Your dad is the leader of the blue lock.
Don't worry. All right, so go back. We're redoing this. You still gonna make your joke about it?
Oh yeah. Tell me why Noah, like that man ran into a ghost and started running from his life. Off topic though. Let's get back on topic.
I gotta re-explain everything, but my ability.
So my ability is speed and physical strength.
Bro, just say perfect body.
Well, perfect body. I'm way faster than Chiguri. I ain't gonna say way faster, but I'm faster than Chiguri.
My ability is copy. Since I would see a child of Ego having this
So
ability, you may be wondering.
so I will start my training arc about when I turn 7, 6. I'll be 10 years old when I start training with my dad about becoming soccer. I was been training with him at the age of 8, but this is when I take my training a little bit serious. So that I say go up to my dad like that. These training that I've been doing is not helping me. It's not helping me improve my skills how I want my skills to be. So I would tell my father, I need you to put me on the training resume. If he do, and he said, sure. So he'll take me to the inside of the gym, inside the house, and he'll tell me to get on the treadmill. So I would run on the treadmill for like 4 hours. Then he said, get off the treadmill, and I'll take a break for like 30 minutes, and I'll get back up, and I'll do squats. And then I'll take my shower and go back to sleep. The next day I'll wake up and I'm like, what's the next transformation? I'm like, what is the next training regimen? And he'll take me outside to the goal where this kicking machine is. It tell you where to kick it at, and you gotta kick it in there or it don't count. He say make 5 of these in a row and don't stop until you do it. It took me 5 hours to hit 5 of them back to back. And he was like, good job. Why did it take you so long? And then he'd give me some dummies. It would be some dummies. And he'll take me through and it would help me improve my dribble skills. So I would be passing on my dribbling skills. And I'll be dribbling past the dummies, making sure I can get past them. And then he'll be like, all right, it's time for me to make the dummies move. And he'll turn the dummies on the medium speed. And then on medium speed, it was got harder, and then I couldn't get past the dummies. And he'll say next activity. Then make me do some push-ups, and then he'll take me on a 1 mile run, and he'll come back and be like, "Now, how about you play 1v1 against 1v1 against the what's it's called? It's not a dummy. It's like computer AI. How about that? 1v1 against the computer AI." And I was like, "What is he talking about?" So he'll take me to this room. I'm like, "What is this?" And this be AI, and I'll play against him. And he tell me, "Don't come out until I win." It'll be full water there in a room for me to go bathe and sleep. So I was like, "Okay, can't come out till I win." The first day, so I would play against him. And then I was like, "This person's actually good." So I would use my speed to easily get past it and score the first goal. As I play these computer AI, it adjusts to my skills, so it'll know how to stop me. So I was trying to score, and then I was like that, and I was use speed. I would use my strength, so I would run backwards, then run forward, and go back and kiss the ball at full strength, so that it won't block it. And it'll be 2-0, and then the AI computer AI would get ball and scores, and then I will win. I will win in like 5 weeks. It'll take me 5 weeks to beat the computer AI, and then we're gonna do a 5-year time skip, six or 5 years time skip. When I will meet up with my boy Ninja, or what his name gonna be, Zuku, and then for okay, I'm like, "Hey Dad, let's play 1v1." So I will 1v1 my father, and my skills will be way better. So I would dribble past him when he was trying to stop me. He'd get in front of me, grabs the ball, Tasty does a spin, and then he'll do a spin, and then he goes forward and score. I'm like, "So this is the world best striker, huh?" Then I get the ball, and I do a couple of drill moves. Then I use a move that he never seen before. My alley use move so fast I create after images. He'll go after image, and then I score. He'll kick the balls up in the air. I would jump, blocks it. I would jump and blocks it with my head. He'll grab it. He'll go down, and I would try to sweet kicks, and he'll jumps up with the ball. Like, how did he do that? And then he'll score. I'm like, "Huh, my turn." And I goes down with it, and then I will try to kick it. He tries to block and miss, and I kiss it again. Nah, but like, and then I would lose 7-2. I'm like, "Dad, the way that you played is unmatched, but I can become better." And he was like, "I know you'll become better." And I'm finna play against this team.
Isn't that the kid you said is your rival's son? Because if so, it's about time he loses. Because I heard their team has been undefeated. And if you know me, you know I like the challenge. And my ego would flare. And I'd look him dead in his face, and I'd walk up to him holding out my hand. I'd say, "Shall we have a good game?"
And I was like, "Right."
And he'd shake my hand, and I'd smirk. I'd say, "So, yo, Ref, when do we begin?" He'd say, "We'd start in 10 minutes. We're waiting for all the parents and teachers and stuff to get here for the game to begin." And I'd say, "Hey, you want to go do a little practice?"
And I say, sure.
I'd say, "By the way, what's your name?"
I said, my name is Kisei.
I'd say, "Call me Izuku." By the way, I did not think of a name at first. This was just a name that, you know, and plus, there's a lot of different things, but in my channel, I already am known as Izuku Freaks Loaded from, my Kilo and Naruto video. But for now, I'm just known as Izuku. No last name. Because, ego doesn't want people to know that, once we enter Blue Lock, he doesn't want people to know that I'm his son because they think that I'd get special treatment, right? But we'd go to the back room, the warming, the
The warm up set.
and we do a couple of workouts. And I noticed he has the perfect body for a striker. And I'd look at him. I'd say, "So, which position do you play?"
And I'll tell him I play striker.
I'd say same. So that means we'll be facing each other head on. So I'd grab a soccer ball out of my locker and I'd put it on the ground. I'd say, "Hey, try to take this ball from me."
And I'll say, I'll gladly do it.
And so he'd dash at me, which would catch me off guard because he'd be almost as fast as me, if not faster. And I'd be shocked by this, but, I had multiple years of copying skills. And I'd use one of my newer skills that I learned throughout these 6 years of training. I'd kick the ball behind him, make it get bounced off the back of his head, and I'd balance it on the back of my heel, bouncing it back over my foot, and I'd step on it. I'd say, "You gotta try harder than that to get the ball."
And I was like, how the hell did he just maneuver like that?
And I'd smirk. I'd say, "What's wrong? Getting scared already? Because this not even the best I've got."
I said, scared is not in my vocabulary.
And I'd look at him, and he'd see, I don't know if this is actually true in Blue Lock, but he'd see my eyes swirl, and I'd say, "Bring it on then, come get the ball." And he'd be shocked by this. He'd be like, "What's wrong with your eyes?" I'd say, "What, you don't have this state?" And I'd go back to normal. He'd be like, "No." I'd be like, "Well, you're gonna need this state to try and beat my team." "Well, it looks like I'm gonna win this game." "Well, let's go back. You looking kind of worn out. Did you even get any sleep last night?" I'd say.
And I was like, no, I'm up all night practicing.
I'd say that. "Here, drink this. It's an energy drink. It should help replenish your energy. You see, by the clips I've seen, you should be faster than this. Why do you seem a bit slower? Did something happen?" And he'd be like, "Nah, I'm just kind of tired." I'd say, "Well, take a couple minute nap. I'd wake you up and then drink that energy drink. So by the time we begin the match, you will be in top shape and I'd have a good match." And I'd smirk at him while I'd walk out of the way, and I'd go to my father and I'd say, "He doesn't have the ego state, father. Are you sure this is gonna be a good game?" And Ego would smirk at me. He'd go, "Yes, Izuku. Just continue to watch. And don't let your guard down around that kid. After all, he's my rival's son." And the 10 minutes would be up, and his team would be looking for him. And so I'd run back into the locker room. I'd wake him up. I'd be like, "Hey, your team is waiting on you. It's time to go. Go ahead and drink that energy drink so we can go." And he'd look at me and he'd say, "No need. I got enough sleep. Let's do this." And I'd say, "All right. Don't say I didn't warn you." and he'd crush the can with his hands, which was shocking. Like in one hand, he'd crush it without even opening it, which would make the drink waste everywhere. And he'd catch a little bit in his hand, and he'd drink it out of his hand, and then throw the can in the trash, and he'd say, "There, and thank you. But just know, I'm winning this match." And so we'd both walk out, and I'd reach out my fist, I'd say, "Well, no hard feelings when you lose."
And I laugh and say, I'm not losing.
Wow, you're just gonna leave me hanging like that? Crazy.
And I fist bump him back.
We'd walk out, and his team would be surprised that he's with me. And my team would also be surprised that I'm with him. And they'd be like, "What, are you trying to sabotage for each other?" I'd say, "No. I just wanted to see what the number one striker's son was like. I heard he was a real prodigy." And I'd smirk. I'd say, "This is going to be a fun game, guys. You're going to have to put your head in the game. Because if you don't, I'll leave you behind." They'd be like, "What do you mean, Izuku? You're just as good as all of us, if not worse." I'd say, "I've never had a real challenge, so I've never really needed to play the striker position the way I should have played it, and I apologize for that. But we still took the W at the end of the day. And just know, in this game, you guys probably won't even be able to keep up with us too." And they'd be like, "What do you mean, Izuku?" And as the ref would say, "Kickoff," and the guy would kick me the ball, and I'd dash upfield, shocking everyone with my speed. But I'd be shocked to see,
And I'll catch us with him.
and I'd be shocked. I'd look over my shoulder and see him there. So I'd stop, and he'd be in front of me. So I'd hit a roulette around him, and I'd start back dashing towards the pitch.
I'll say, where you think you going?
And he'd appear in front of me this time. So I'd be like, "Fine then. I guess I'll have to play a bit risky, should I say." And he'd say, "What do you mean?" And so I'd kick the ball up in the air, and I'd jump in the air like how Shido did in the manga, and I'd bicycle kick the ball from where I was, clean into the goal, and everyone would be shocked, except for Ego and the number one who'd be there, and Ego would be smirking. As the number one, Noah, he'd be shocked. He'd be like, "What's this kid's thing?" He was dribbling at first. Then he used aerial combat. And he'd look at Ego smirking, and he'd say, What type of monster did you raise, Ego?" And Ego would say, "I raised the best striker this world will see. But Izuku still has a ways to go. So by the time the Blue Lock gets done, Japan will have something to look forward to." And I know that's a bit cocky, but hey, I'm pretty sure Kisei won't leave that there.
I was like,
And everybody on my team would be shocked by what I just did. And at first, when I just dashed off without them, they'd be mad and be shocked. They'd be like, "What does he think he's doing? He's going to get the ball taken." But then when I sped up and then sped around the field, and then I stopped, hit the roulette, and kept going, they'd be like, "What are these two? Are they some type of monsters?" And then I'd look at Kisei while after scoring, and they'd be taking the ball back to the center of the field. I'd say, "Hey." And he'd look at me after a while. I'd say, "Why didn't you answer?" And I'd see his eyes. I'd say, "Wait, so he does have the ego stick?"
and I
No
asked
one
him,
ever told him what this was? And I'd look over at the number one, who'd be smiling, and he'd say, "Do it." And I'd be confused at first, but once the whistle is blown, he'd dash past me, which would shock me at his speed. And he'd just shoot it after dashing, and he'd make it to the pitch shooting the ball. And I'd be shocked, like completely shocked. I'd be like, "So this is what the number one kid is made." I thought he was just some mediocre prodigy.
And then I walk past him like, how you like that one?
I'd say, that's fine and all, but I haven't shown you. I have to show you something. Said, you could dash around the field as fast as you need to. Say, hey guys, I'll take the ball from here. He pass it after whistle is blown. I'd walk to the center and be face to face with him. I'd say, well, I can do this. And I'd kick the ball from the center of the field. And it curved past the goalkeeper's hand and go clean in. I'd say, yeah, now one up me now. And I'd look at him with my egotistical eyes activated. And I know this isn't just something the players activate. Besides Bachira, who just does it, like I still don't understand why Bachira is the only one that I've seen who could just go from normal to egotistical all in a second. Like him and Isagi, they just do it. And
Then
it's
I
crazy
asked
to me
him,
how no one says anything about it. Besides that one time when Raichi said Isagi's eyes looked weird.
and then
That's the only time I've seen someone say that. You know.
then I asked Izuku, what is his weapon?
I'd say, well, you see, my specialty, or my weapon, as you call it, is copy. Hey, you remember one of your dad's scores that he shot in and scored, you know? Yeah, that was the first time that I thought to myself, and I was around the age of 2. I said, I'll be this world's best striker, and then one day, I'll play him, the number 1, and take his position. But then my father told me, but I didn't say this as a 2-year-old. I said this at the age of 10. And my father, he said he has a child that is gonna one day surpass him. Aim for beating that kid. And once you do, you'll be the best. And that's why I'll have to crush you today. So sorry for leaving your dreams to shatter, but you're not scoring anymore.
And I say, you sure about that?
And the whistle is blown.
And I say, let's see if you can copy this. And I'll move so fast that I'll create after images.
And I'd say, he's a fast one, but, and I'd appear. You know how when Ren pulled up in front of Sei, and he was like in this crouched down dog position with his tongue sticking out? I wouldn't have my tongue sticking out, but I'd be in that position. I'd say, you may be fast, but just know, I can keep up with you. And I'd steal the ball, dashing back upfield, and he'd be shocked. He'd be like, no way. How did he know which one was the real one? And he'd look over at Ego, who'd be smirking, and he'd start getting pissed. And he'd be like, no, 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 no. I'm not losing to my dad's rival's son. That's a wild ass sentence. My dad's rival's son. Yeah. But he'd be like, no. And he'd dash upfield. And I'd feel this ominous. I'd feel this deadly presence behind me, should I say. Ominous. That's what I was trying to say, but I said ominous. And I'd say, oh, you know how to release your bloodlust. And I'd turn around dribbling backwards, like I'd be still going towards the goal, but I'd be dribbling backwards, which would shock him, but he'd be so focused that he didn't care. And I'd say, you think you can keep up with me? And I'd smile while glaring, which would overpower his bloodlust, which get him back to his senses. And he'd start thinking of ways to block it. And he'd say, what if I use my after image ability, but go in circles around him, since he's dribbling backwards, he's kind of slowed down. And that's what he'd do. He'd run in a circle around me while I'm still going backwards. And I'd spin around stopping in place. I'd be like, oh, so that's the route you've taken, huh? And even if I use aerial combat, your goalie might, I doubt he'd be able to stop it, but he'd be able to push it away from the goal a bit and make me miss, giving y'all the chance to keep going. But I doubt he could fully stop the kick. And I'd say, oh yeah, I still have that move. So I'd go all the way back, like as far as I can go without touching him and without him being able to get the ball. And I'd leave the ball in the middle. And as soon as he'd go for the ball, I'd kick it, shooting a curveball. But to my unexpected ability, he'd push off the ground with one hand and kick the ball up, sending the ball high in the sky. And I'd be like, okay, you want to play like that? But I'm the best in aerial combat here. And I'd jump, performing another bicycle kick, and I'd say thank you for this opportunity, scoring my team's third point of this game. And he'd be shocked, and he'd be mad. And I know flow state wasn't shown, so I'm not saying this is like flow state, but like, you know how when Bachira evolved during the match when he was dribbling against Isagi Baro, Nagi, and Chigiri, his eyes would also turn black like that. Like it'd just be fully black, unlike how Bachira's was fully white until when he kicked the ball, his eyes were black. His eyes would turn fully black with white pupils and white, irises, like his eyes are white. And his teammate would pass him the ball, and he just disappear. And I'd be shocked. I'd say, "What was that speed?" And then I'd fall, and I'd be shocked again. I'd say, "What just happened?" And I'd see him standing in front of me, but then he'd appear behind me, and then he'd say, "You're too slow," and he'd appear in front of the thing. He'd appear in front of the goal next to the goalkeeper, and just lightly tap the ball in. And he'd appear back next to me, going back to normal. Like he'd be kind of tired, but he'd be mad. He'd say, "So how did you like that one?" Breathing heavily. And I'd smirk. I'd say, "You're fun. We should be friends." And I had to reach out my hand. He'd reach out his hand to help me up. And I'd grab it, pulling myself off the ground. Him assisting me off the ground. And our teams would be completely shocked. At this point, they wasn't even there. And I'd look at my midfielder. I'd say, I know Isagi isn't a part of this. I know that we're supposed to be playing Kira's team. So I'd say that Kira is a part of the Ragtos, and Isagi is on my team. I say, "Yo, Isagi," who's our midfielder. And he'd also practice with me sometimes since, we're both considered below average on our team-ish. Isagi is an okay player during, it was just his team that screwed their nationals. Like, they could have tied the game, and if they could have held them off from scoring, from Kira scoring that last point, then they could have left on a tie. But, he just had to pass the ball. So, Isagi's going to be my midfielder in this one since, his passes are okay and they're good enough. And Kira would be his midfielder. You just scored, didn't it? Or did I just score?
I just scored.
Yeah, so the score is 3-2, right? Okay, so I'd get up. I'd say, "Yo, Isagi." And I'd walk up to him and say, "Let's do that play." And he'd smirk and he'd say, "Sure, Izuku-san." And I'd say, "Do not call me that." And he'd be like, "What you mean?" I'd say, "Do not add the san to my name. It's just Izuku." And he'd say, "Sure." And I'd say, "Yo, Kira, you better watch him very well." And I'd say Isagi's weapon is his direct shot, and he knows it. But he also has Naruhaya's ability, because him and Igarashi are the two that I'm not allowing it to bullock for, me and Kisei to get into, the blue lock thing. So sorry, Naruhaya, and sorry, Igarashi, but y'all gotta go. You gotta go. Why did I think of that right
You gotta go.
You gotta go. But, yeah, so, I'd say keep a close eye on him. if you can. And he'd be like, what do you mean? And Kisei would say, don't worry about it. He's trying to get in your head. Focus on him. I say, okay. I'm warning you though. And I'd kick the ball to Isagi, who'd run up field, and then he'd see me open, like towards the middle of the field, and he'd pass it. And Kira, who was watching him, would look at the ball, and he'd go to the other side of him, and Kira would look back, not seeing Isagi anymore. He'd look to the other side to see, and Isagi would run the other way, dashing towards the field with no one on him. And I'd smirk. I'd say, I'm also good at passing, Kisei. And he'd be like, what do you mean? Like perhaps this backspin pass. And I'd kick it, and it looked like it's going towards the goal. He'd say, that's a shot. I'd say, no. And their goalkeeper would go to grab it once it hit the ground, but it curved backwards to Isagi, who'd shoot the ball in, scoring our 4th point. And I'd say, come on now, you're losing. And he'd be irritated by my actions. And so he'd go, boy, wake up. Can't fall asleep on this damn trampoline. Come on, explain.
Nah, go. Don't worry, I got some up my sleeve.
I know it's dark and it's tiring out here.
And I'm comfortable. I'm like 3 comfortable.
I'm not comfortable at all. I've been sitting up talking this whole time. Well, I'll explain this part, but you better not fall asleep. Cause
I'm not.
here
I got it.
anyway. Huh? You want to explain your part?
No, I know, I'm good.
Alright, so he'd say, nah, we got this kid. Don't lose faith. And he'd be like, but where did he go? He just kind of disappeared. I'd say, I told you to keep a close eye on him. You should have listened. And everyone on the team and on our team, like, didn't know that Isagi could play like this either. And they'd look at the team. We'd get in a huddle, and they'd be like, now tell me, who else is hiding something important like this? And I'd say, well, I've seen all of what you guys can do, and I gotta say, you guys are ass. And they'd look at me madly, and they'd say, so why don't you and Isagi play the whole game then? I'd say, bet, go join their team. We don't need you. And I'd look at them with my egotistical eyes, and I'd say, now get to stepping, donkey. And they'd look at me, and they'd say, no, we don't want to play for that guy. And then I'd be like, you know he's the #1 striker in the world, son, right? And they'd have a quick change of heart. Yep, we're helping him out. I'd say, see, the ones that always claim to be your friend, switch up the fastest. Get the hell out of here. They'd run over there, but then Kisei would say, get the hell out of here.
Don't bring y'all trash ass over here.
He'd say, I dislike traitors. Get out of here. And Ego would go to the referee, and he'd be like, hey, can my son and that kid play alone? Their teammates don't seem to want to play with them. And the referee, who was shocked at what me and Isagi did before, he'd say, sure, I know this shouldn't be illegal, but yeah, it's allowed. And Ego would say, now lock off, you idiots. And I'd say, thanks, Dad. And I'd say, ooh. And Isagi would look and he'd say, isn't that the #1's rival? I'd say, how do you know that? They were rivals like back in high school to a bit of the Nationals until, my father just decided to become the mastermind who works in the shadows. And he'd be like, because Ego was great. And I'd say, wait, they have clips of my father playing? And he'd be like, yeah, look at these. And I'd say, my chance. And I'd smirk. I'd say, show me these videos. I want to watch them. And the referee would be like, what is he doing? And Ego would be like, I don't know. Hey, what are you two doing? I'd say, give us a second, Pops. I'm getting to the good part. And I'd smirk. I'd say, sorry for using your line, Isagi, but I think I know how I want to win this.
Like, it's only 2 of them now? And I'm like, Well, this is unfair.
And I'd look and I'd say, yo, you. And he'd say, what do
What?
you want? I'd say, sorry, but I want to play a bit differently. And I'd say, it's your guys' ball anyway, so score. Because once we get the ball, trust me, this game is over.
And I tell where I'm like, well, we don't need the rest of these players. I could do this alone if I wanted to.
I'd say, oh, trust me. Me and Isagi has this down to a T.
And so I
And
tell
I'd say,
everybody,
Isagi, just stay on Kira. I got the rest of the team.
and I
Trust
say,
me. I say, I got him. I'd say, I got Kisei, and trust me, he won't pass the ball.
the rest of the team, I'll say, psh, they could just walk out the field at this point.
And I'd look at him. I'd say, hey, after I beat you, I'm gonna make you one of my friends. And after that, me, you, and Isagi are gonna be the best trio this world has ever seen. With me being the striker, you being my center forward, and Isagi being the right wing striker. Ugh, damn. I'm thinking volleyball now. Damn, my bad. I've been watching a lot of sports anime. Give me a second.
And I'll say, you beating me, after I beat you, we can become friends.
I'd say, trust me, kid. After what I've just seen, you are not winning this. And I'd smirk, and he'd see my eyes turn a darkish, blackish purple color. And he'd be like, what is that? And he'd see my eyes that were once, this color. Like, the inside of my eyes, this color. He'd see that be the darkest purple, but they'd also be swirling. But that's the only part of my eyes that has swirls in it. And he'd be like, is that an advanced version of his egotistical eyes? Or what? And I'd look at him and I'd go, now score. And he'd dash after the referee blows the whistle. But his teammates would get in his way, and I'd be shocked too, which take me out of my trance. And I'd be like, what's going on? And I'd look at Isagi, who'd just be standing there, looking shocked also. I'd say, yo, Kisei, what's wrong with your teammates? Why are they trying to take the ball from you?
And I'm like, I don't know. If I say, y'all don't get y'all damn ass out my damn way.
And they look at him, and one of them would kick him in the hip on accident when trying to take the ball from him. And Kisei would look up and say, ref, I call a timeout. And he'd roundhouse kick the fuck out of the dude, slamming his head into the field, knocking him unconscious. I'd say, oh, I like this guy. He's very interesting. I'd say, yo, Isagi, we need a 4-man team towards the end of a certain place. So we need someone who can accommodate you and your monster. And he'd be like, what do you mean, my monster? I'd say, you don't understand yet, but if you're given a chance, I'm pretty sure you'd devour a lot of people. You'd probably become one of the best egoists I know. I mean, not better than me and probably Kisei, obviously, but you'd be a threat to everyone. Hey, by the way, why that tree look like Bachira's demon monster? Look up right here.
You talking about that? Why do this look like a spider?
Oh no. And that looked like a big ass demon. Damn, I'm talking. So that's what I was saying. Your video still recording?
No.
What was that? Oh yeah, so after that we'd call a time in with your teammates still guarding you, but this time a bit more cautiously. Like they're trying to take the ball from you, but they're watching where they're kicking it,
And then I just split bits past all them.
He'd get down until how when bulls charge.
And when he charged through all them at like the first beginning of the blue lock.
He put his arm outwards and he turned his hand backwards, like with his palm of his hand facing outwards. Like, so put your arm out, right? And then kind of put it at a right triangle way, and then kind of close your fingers, but like not all the way, but like close them. Like how when Whitebeard grabs the air before he pulls on it. Yeah, like that. And he put it in front of his nose to like block it for when he charges. And he charged forwards, pushing them out of his way. And I'd be like, okay, that's different. And he'd say, Bulls Rush. And the people who were in front of him, not the ones that was on side of him and stuff, but the people who were in front of him would get flipped in the air upside down and stuff. I'd say, that's one powerful rush. I like it. And he'd kick the ball, but this time with his left leg. And I'd be shocked, I'd say. Like father, like son, you can use both legs to kick, huh? Oh well, this game is over anyway. He'd say, what do you mean? I'd say, Isagi, you pass me the ball from right here at this goal. He'd pass it, and I'd be standing there. I'd say, don't worry, goalkeeper. You stay there. And you may be wondering, if I told all our teammates to get off, why we still have a goalkeeper? The goalkeeper is just kind of scared, like he's frozen in place, and I didn't want to, make him get off. It looked like he was gonna pee himself if, So I touched his shoulder, trying to calm him down. I'd be like, "It's okay. You don't have to worry. This game is over." And Kisei would go to his goal, and he'd stand next to his goalkeeper, and he'd say, "Kira, get to the other side." I don't know what he's finna do, but it seems kind of dangerous towards this game. And I'd say, don't worry, I have something that you won't even be able to stop. And I'd kick the ball with such force that it disappeared for a second and it reappeared right where his face is. And on instinct, he'd move his face out of the way and it'd go in. I'd say, vanishing shot. And I'd look at him, I'd say, I'd walk up to him, and he'd kind of fall downward saying, you're a monster, but I like it. But my legs buckled. I'd say, thought as much. You ran as fast as you could. You didn't even notice how much damage and strain you put on your legs. And he'd be like, whatever. I'd say, yes, whatever indeed. Because now we only need one more person for our team. Welcome, my midfielder. And he'd grab my hand, and I'd pull him off the ground. I'd say, this is nostalgic now, isn't it? He'd say, yeah, it is. I'd walk up to Isagi. I'd say, let's go practice before that starts. And he'd say, what do you mean? Well, we're going, don't worry, let's just have a little practice match at my house. Well, not a practice match of sorts, but I already picked out who your duo partner should be. Since I have Kisei, you should have this person. He suits you well. He'd say, who do you mean? He'd say, that guy right there. Once we make it to my house. And he'd see Bachira, but he wouldn't know this is Bachira. I'd say, yo, Bachira, come over, meet Isagi. I'm pretty sure he should play to your monster's likes. And he'd look and he'd be like, so I get to play with another monster. And what position is he gonna play? I'd say, well, this is how our lineup will be. I'll play as striker, as normal. Isagi will be to my right hand side. Bachira, you're to my left. And our midfielder, Kisei. And Bachira would be like, okay. And I'd say, yo, drop a ball. Let's play the game of tag, should we? And I'd look at Kisei. I'd say, this is just some practice before the actual thing begins tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but in a week. And he'd be like, what do you mean? I'd say, don't worry, you'll get an invitation soon. And I'd kick the ball, which Bachira would stop and trap it before dribbling towards Kisei. And Kisei would start dodging and stuff. But he's a lot faster than Bachira, so once Bachira would get close, he'd dodge. And Bachira would do a quick spin, kicking the ball up in the air. And Kisei dashing towards Isagi, like to go where Isagi was, like next to Isagi, he noticed that the ball landed right at Isagi's foot, and Isagi would kick the ball. Why did I say foot like that? But it landed at Isagi's foot, and Isagi would kick the ball. Boom! But Kisei would block it with his arm. Well, with his elbow, should I say. He'd say, that was a close one. I'd say, no, you're still lit. You got hit. And he kicked the ball towards me. But I moved, kicking the ball back up where the tube was. And it'd go into the tube, and the tube would suck the ball back in. Pause. And I had to specify the pause because, you know, my cousin been acting weird lately, talking about some, oh, yo, no, that's gay. Yeah, so, yeah, pause. And no, I have nothing against gay people, just so you know.
Yeah, don't cancel us. Don't cancel
Do
us.
not cancel. I have nothing against gay people, non-binary. I don't care who you are. As long as you're not a bitch to me, I'm not a bitch to you, should I say. There.
If this makes sense, my ex-girlfriend is gay.
Oh, look, your mama calling. Hello? We almost done with the video. We finna come back in.
Wait,
Alright,
that's where she can go.
we're not.
That's where she can go.
Alright, Dreams up. Where you going? She's out to the club.
Buy me some liquor.
Huh?
What's your plan?
Alright. Let's continue the video. I'm pretty sure yours isn't, you know, paused. Like,
No.
Alright, so let's continue. Sorry about that. My cousin's mother called me. Where were we? Oh yeah, back to all of that. Do not cancel this. But again, just to clarify, I have nothing against you. Gay, straight, or you could be a robot, and I would have nothing against you. As long as you do not threaten my life, we're good.
We good.
Okay, so back to what I was saying. So, yeah, I kicked the ball back into the tube, and it sucked the ball back up. Again, pause. And we just start leaving out of the room, and I say, you guys want something to drink? But then all of a sudden, I'd turn around, and I'd see all of them sleep on the floor. I'd say, well, I mean, I don't know why Bachira's tired, but us three have had a long day of training and games, so, I mean, I guess. And I'd look at him and I'd go, so, I wonder, with this team of mine, and whoever else I feel that I want on my team during Blue Lock, once Blue Lock is over, I wonder, how good would these guys be, and how much will I improve? And when I see how good I'll be as a striker, because in this world, there's only one thing I want to do, and that's to beat the #1 and lead Japan to winning a World Cup. And that's where we're leaving this part off. I know Banragto barely said anything in this video,
Yo,
and that's because
I'm finna go to sleep after this.
it is, hold up, it is 10:45.
We started at 9:20. To be honest, we need to get past. We need to get to the first episode. Besides the game.
Yeah, we didn't even make it to Blue Lock. Well, besides me, who grew up in Blue Lock.
He basically went through Blue Lock already.
But
ever since 6.
Hey, by the way, guys,
What time?
you might be thinking that, you know, I'm gonna get special privileges, and no, the only thing differently that we're gonna have that wasn't in Blue Lock is we're gonna be a different team. It's gonna be me, Isagi, Bachira, and Kisei, aka Banragto, and
Kunigami.
huh?
Kunigami.
No, not inside the thing. And we're gonna be on a team called Team Zero, right? And for the next part of the video, we're gonna play against Team Z first. Like, after the whatchamacallit, since we already did the ball thing, we're not gonna do it again since we don't need to get rid of a player. But we are gonna do something, right? So Team Z's first match is gonna be against us, right? And since it's only 4 of us, they're gonna be confident in their winning
We
chances.
finna stomp their ass.
Yeah, and we're gonna take people from different teams that we want, right? So we're gonna
So if we
from
play against
team.
Ren now, we most definitely picking Ren. When we whoop Burrow ass, we picking Burrow.
All right, so the first team we play against, as I said, is Team Z, and I can't tell you now who we're gonna take
Yeah,
because
cause it's a lot of good players on team. Well, that will eventually be good.
like they're gonna and the rest of them, they're gonna be put together So if we take, for say we took Kunigami Chigiri from Team Z, right, and Gagamaru to make our goalie, right, and say we also took from Team V, we took uh, we take Nico, did I say, right? I'm pretty sure he was on Team V. And then from Team W, we take Barrow, right? After that, damn, I didn't even count that out. It's 4, 2, no, 3, so 7, 8, 9. And then, let's see, with that, then we're going to go to Shindo's team. Obviously, we got to go get the little demon, yeah, the zesty demon, who eventually is going to...
Team Y, Nico.
Yeah, right, he was on Team Y. I said Team V. Oh, yeah, Team V was with Nagi. That's what... Yeah, and we're taking Nagi, too. Just we're taking Nagi and Rio. Why? Because you can't leave the chameleon without his treasure.